My guest this evening is a multi-talented artist. She is classically trained as a pianist. I know she studied theater and a bunch of other artistic things. I believe she does painting and is currently the vocalist for symphonic hard rockers, Edge of Paradise. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Miss Margarita Monet. Margarita.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And we also have Dave in the background there. I don't want to be rude. Cool. So how are things going down in your area in terms of the pandemic and the protests and all the other craziness that's been going on?
Yeah, so we're in Los Angeles, kind of on the north side, and we were moving towards opening up, but it's kind of going the opposite direction and things started to close down again. So, we're just kind of coasting, I guess. Now we're working on new music, just focusing on our things and, trying to contribute something positive to people during this time with music or whatever else we can do. It's crazy world out there right now. So.
Yeah, and like you said, I think it's kind of true for everyone that's an artist of any type, that you're just trying to find the positives and trying to find the silver lining. Correct me if I'm wrong, that you were born in Armenia. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you spent some time in Russia before the family moved to the US. So what was life like, and like what's that timeline like in terms of birth, Russia, US?
Yeah, I actually remember I was 3 years old when we moved to Moscow. And I guess I have really early memories. I was born in 1990, so it was the time where the Soviet Union fell apart and it was a very difficult time, especially in Armenia. We didn't have like hot water or like television. I think our house was like the only with television, so all our neighbors would come and people used those stoves. It was just really different times. And I remember when I was 3, we moved to Moscow, and the day we arrived, it was curfew time, and there's tanks, and it was just crazy. But my time growing up in Moscow was really amazing. I had a great childhood, and my mom, she worked at an arts academy. She taught English there, so she would take me to work and just drop me off to all the theater classes and music classes, dance. So I was just immersed in the arts and I loved that. And then I started getting more serious. I started playing piano and go to music school, doing competitions. And my whole life pretty much at that age was dedicated to classical piano and ballet. So that's all I did. And obviously went to, school in the morning as well. So yeah, I really had a great childhood. And then when I was 11, we moved to Houston, Texas, and that was a really big change for me, because it's a very different place. Especially we moved in 2001, and it was when Houston started to get more metropolitan, but at that time there wasn't much going on. So it took a bit adjusting, but then when I went to high school, I went to a performing arts high school, which was really cool for me because I got to, do what I love. And then I went to New York to college after that to study music and then music and theater. And then I moved to LA. So I was kind of all over the place.
No, that's fascinating. And again, for me, I love hearing about your background because I have an interest in basically every area that you just mentioned. And so if we can I want to spend a little bit of time talking about some of those areas. So I know, like you said, that you were classically trained as a pianist and you were in competitions at a very young age. What do you remember about that time? And are you still keeping up with piano now, or what's that? What are your memories of that?
Yeah, well, right now, I think it gave me such a solid foundation that I'm able to make music with the piano, and it really helps me, creating music and melodies and for singing as well. But, it was, in Russia, everything is very serious. Like, if you're doing something, you better be good, better, 5 hours a day practice. Otherwise, they kick you out of school because it's like, it's not like you pay to go there. They have to take you in And then if you're not good enough, if you're not like keeping your level where you're supposed to be at, they just kick you out. So it creates a lot of like competitive nature because everybody is good, so you have to keep finding ways to be better, keep improving. But you know, I really loved it, and I had a great teacher. And I just remember, like with competitions, I was always so nervous my foot would shake on the pedal. So, but yeah, I loved it. And at the same time, I was doing ballet, and it was like equally as serious. And like I remember getting kicked out of class, and like you had to eat under the table because you know it's like Russian ballet is pretty serious thing. And but we got to go to Prague and we performed in Europe. So you know, it's like I understand like people they when I tell them stories they're like, oh my god, it was like child abuse. But to me, I really loved what I was doing. And it was just I just have really good memories from everything. So
Okay, yeah, no, and I've had again the privilege of interviewing a few professional ballet dancers, and we actually had one on the show during the first leg of the tour, and it's such a sacrifice for any of those things. You know, being a classical pianist, being in ballet, that it becomes your life. You have to dedicate yourself. And you mentioned that when you came to Houston, that you went to an arts high school before you went to college in New York. So were you doing, did you have your hands in music and also like painting and writing and all that? Or kind of, can you speak a little bit more to your high school to college transition?
yeah, I mean it was like high school. It was a normal high school, but it was half the day was dedicated to theater. And I was in musical theater for a bit, but mainly theater. And it was okay. Like the thing about high school, it's not like, the teachers kind of see something in you and they try to pull it out of you. You're kind of lost in the mix. And, obviously teachers have their favorites, and I was never anybody's favorite. So it's kind of funny because I actually got kicked out of musical theater. No, I never like telling you, but I mean, I don't really care. But uh, it's kind of funny because it's a bit sad because when you're growing up, especially at that age, you're kind of insecure about things, so you don't really take chances. So if you don't really show off and show what you can do, nobody's gonna get it out of you. And I was always shy. you know I was shy compared to other theater kids. So that's why like I taught music for a very long time in Los Angeles, and I always try to put myself in the shoes of other kids, because you have to really see something and pull it out of them. Otherwise, what good of a teacher are you? So when I look back now, I'm kind of like, I could have done more if I just took that extra step. But at that age, it's kind of everything is scary. So
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. And you're right on the money when it comes to the teacher part of it. When you mentioned that you got kicked out of musical theater, was that because you were too quiet and too shy, or did you do something that just pissed off the teacher and they kicked you out?
no, no, I was really good kid. Like I never pissed anybody off. I just think they have certain amount of kids in musical theater and then in regular theater. So I was always like I would always do dramatic monologues, like you know, like emotional, and then all the musical theater kids were like really exuberant and like singing loud and stuff. And I don't know, I was kind of more introverted, I guess. So
Okay, that makes sense. So it's more of like they put you maybe on the track of theater because that kind of was more of what fit your personality than the musical theater. People are like all extroverted and crazy and out there and what have you. Okay,
mhm.
that makes sense. And then, like you mentioned, when you went to college, did you think when you got out of college that you were going to be looking at, going into a career then in theater or musical theater of some sort then?
Yeah, I mean, I love theater, and I was lucky to go to NYU, but I did a minor in music. And then at NYU you can take other classes as well. So I took astronomy because I always have like this fascination with the universe. So, and you have to take regular classes as well. But it was hard because, most kids, they have classes like 3 days out of the week. And then if you're also like, if you're a theater major, you have that 3 days. And then you also have 3 days of theater classes, actually every day of theater in the morning. And then you do classes whenever you have, the rest of the time. So I did want to do theater, but I really missed the performing music or creating aspect of things, because when you are in theater, you're kind of at the mercy of the play or the director, whoever else is going to take you in. And I think for me, what I really was going after is expressing yourself through an art form, not necessarily theater or whatever else. That's why being able to do this band, and it was actually, I attribute it to Dave, because I never imagined being in a band. I always kind of, maybe in the back of my mind, thought it would be so cool because my parents, like, when I watched like live shows and concerts, I thought it was incredible, but I thought I could never do something like that. So when I met Dave and, we decided to form this band, it's pretty much, I attribute it all to him. Life works in mysterious ways, but for me, it's kind of gives me the opportunity to be a performer and create something and play different characters and just kind of do something creative. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think you said that you wanted to have the opportunity to express your art. When you kind of got things going in the early days, was it like, well, this is just kind of for fun? Or was it kind of, were you already thinking like, this is starting to get good to me, I'm starting to like this, I think we can take it somewhere?
No, like, we were very serious from the beginning. Hey, Dave, come tell this story. So doesn't like to talk about it, he just plays guitar. But he had, when I met him, so I was like in this dance type of a group. And when I moved to LA, I was just trying to do all projects, whatever I could get into. So the producer of the group I was, performing with, he asked me to do a song because I played piano. So he wanted me to play piano on the song. And it kind of turned into more of a rock song. And we wanted to get a guitar player to do a guitar solo on it. And then we weren't even looking at that time, but we needed to go to a music store, and Dave was doing a guitar workshop there. And by chance, we saw him play, and he was amazing. So the producer asked him if he wanted to play on the song. And, that didn't really go anywhere, but that's how we met. And at the time, he just was getting out of his band, which was called Bleed. And, what you say it?
Yeah, it was a bunch of guys from the 80s that I knew through other projects. They all went on tour with different bands. And
yeah, so he had Greg Bissonette on drums and Tony Franklin on bass and Robin McCauley. He wrote the songs with Robin McCauley. So when we met, we had similar visions in the way that we wanted to create something and take it all the way, dedicate pretty much our time completely to that project. And that was the problem with the people he had in the band before, is that they all had other projects going on. And, to create something and make it successful, you really have to put a lot of time and dedication into it. So in that sense, that's why we decided to form the band, because we had, similar ambitions. And, I liked the music he liked. I don't know if you listened to classical before, but I think our styles complemented each other. So when we just formed the band and put out the first CD right away. And that's why it sounds nothing like what we sound like now, is because the songs that went into Mask, which was our first album, were the songs that he wrote with Robin McCauley. And just to tell you, like, the dedication he had a 69 Chevelle that he sold. So we put all the money into the first album. Yeah. So I don't, do you miss the car?
No, I had the car for a while. It served a purpose.
So yeah, we're pretty serious.
Yeah, well, no, and that speaks to that aspect of sacrifice. That if you're trying to make something happen, that you got to sacrifice quite a few things. It could be a car, it's going to be your time, could be friendships, time, family, all those kind of things. Alice folks down in LA could love everything everything about you guys. And what can you tell me a little bit about that video shoot when you guys were doing it? What are some things you can tell me about it?
Well, I edited it. So the video, we kind of did it in pieces. Some of it we just kind of Dave and I filmed by ourselves. The band shots, we had a really good friend Darren Lafreniere and his wife Tina from Arizona. They shot the band scenes, and then actually for Fire video they shot the whole video, and we always go on location with them. If you guys know our music video for Face of Fear that we shot in Iceland, Darren also filmed that one and was directed by Val Rossi. So we always kind of work with the same people, and we do a lot of it ourselves just because, you know, we want to kind of be as creative as we can and, you know, use unlimited time. And, you know, obviously at the time, the budget, we spent a lot of the budget just focusing on the album, getting the, you know, highest quality production. So yeah.
Okay, no, and I was wondering, and just off the top of my head, when I was watching that, we're actually watching a lot of your videos. With your art background, did you have any influence over like the costumes or the design of how things were looking? It sounds like you probably did.
Yeah, pretty much everything we do, you know, have influence over everything. We do everything ourselves pretty much. Yeah, a lot of the ideas are kind of from my head, and, you know, obviously we collaborate on the ideas, but a lot of it is, you know, I kind of think of something in my head, and then like Darren, he tries to make it happen, or Val, or, you know, whoever we're working with. And we're very lucky that they really understand our vision. And, you know, Universe, I guess that video is kind of creating like a vibe. There's not really a storyline. It's more like a feel video. If you check out the video for Fire, it's much more involved. Like, we rented a spaceship set, and then we went to New Mexico. It looks like we're on the moon, and, you know, it took a lot of effort filming that one. So yeah, but it's really fun, and, you know, you make great memories, and it's really rewarding to see what the outcome is, because you know what went into it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and I think you guys have something, you know, somewhat similar to Alice, because they're very DIY themselves. You had like a close call, if I understand, when it was dark at night shooting that video. And was it in New Mexico, or when you shot that, or Arizona?
So it's
Okay.
called Badlands, and it's just Beastie Badlands, and it pretty much is just emptiness, and it's just white rock. But yeah, there's a lot of snakes there. I guess so. So after we finished filming, since there's nothing there, it's pitch black. So we had our flashlights, and, you know, I guess I was just walking, and as I'm walking, there behind me, like, yelling, "A rattlesnake!" And I don't even know they were talking to me. And I'm like, I guess if it's crawling on top of me, I'm just keep walking. I'll outrun it. But I guess I stepped right over it, and the thing like already went up. You know how it starts, like,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it was about to launch. So yeah.
Well, that's yeah, you're you're really lucky that it didn't decide to take a bite out of you when you stepped right over it. Wow. I've got family that live down in Arizona, so I kind of hear similar stories in terms of, you know, the wildlife they have down there that we don't have up here in Seattle by any means. Let's kind of skip over to, so when Universe came out, you're booked on the European tour with Sonata Arctica and Temple Balls. And how was that tour? What was it like for you? Kind of give me some background on the tour experience over there.
Yeah, we went on tour the day after Universe released, and it was our first big European tour. It was like 30 shows back to back. It started in a really cold country in Sweden, and it was amazing. We we actually shared the tour bus with Temple Balls, and it's kind of scary going into it because you don't know these people and you pretty much live with them for 6 weeks. But they were amazing group of guys, and Sonata Arctica are a great group of people, and we learned a lot. We grew a lot as a band and got to see. The coolest thing is that a lot of the people we saw they've been following the band for maybe years, and we finally got to meet them, and because we've known each other from Facebook or Instagram, because we're a very social band and we love talking to people and creating those relationships and kind of growing our world is really special to us, and kind of that energy you get from a live show, especially at that level, because Sonata Arctica, most of the shows were really large theaters and clubs, and we were very lucky that we were able to share music with so many people and create amazing memories. See a lot of, I love Europe just because everything is just so beautiful and there's so much history there, and people love music. It's such a huge part of their culture. They're very supportive, and the food is amazing. So it was
Awesome. What kind of things have you noticed between touring in America versus touring over in Europe?
well, what do you think?
Well, like she said, the food is way better. People are more respectful because they're it's different. They have a lot of respect for culture there. In general.
Yeah, I mean,
you notice that in Japan too.
Yeah, Japan. In Japan, what's really interesting is that like a musician and a doctor is pretty much the same level. Like they really respect
revered,
the the art form. In Europe too, it's just such a it's an important part of their culture. So, and what I've noticed is like in Europe, and we were talking about it in Europe and Japan, like all the musicians and all the bands, they're really good in the sense that they really put a lot of time and effort into what they're doing. So, even though people have different tastes in music, you can't deny that it's really good, whatever genre, whatever they're doing, the talent. Yeah. In the US, I feel like a lot of it, and I think it's because we don't take as much care, we don't support it as much as like Europe or Japan, because like even like being in LA, a lot of clubs, like starting out in LA is a nightmare because nobody really gives you a chance. Like all the clubs, it's pay to play. So if you have money, you can pretty much play wherever you want. If you don't like care about your music, just go up on stage and you can suck and like you don't put any time and effort into it, but you can play. And that's why people don't really want to go out anymore, because the clubs don't really put effort into creating the right nights. Like they don't put the bands together that sound similar, or you know what I'm trying to say. Like I feel really need to, because music is a really important part of the culture. I feel like it's important part to even even if we advance in technology or science or whatever it may be, medicine, music is kind of, it goes hand in hand into developing
your thought process.
Anything. It's really important. So I feel like we really have to put more effort and support into trying to raise new musicians and new artists, because it keeps the whole country moving forward. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was well said. I couldn't agree more. Your background in, again, ballet and piano and theater and all these kind of things, have you looked at doing like, for lack of a better term, like a rock opera kind of thing concept somewhere down the road as Edge of Paradise? But it seems like it kind of fits what you have already going on.
Well, Yeah, I mean, in a sense, what we're trying to do, with every year, we're trying to grow, you know, our music is evolving, but also the live show. So, the bigger the band gets, we have a lot of ideas how we want to create the live show, because we really want it to be a very, uh, kind of take people and transport them to our planet, So I don't know if it's a rock opera or just, because our theme, grew up fascinated with space, and my dad is a scientist, so a lot of the aspect of our kind of new music and the themes behind it is kind of space and futuristic themes, artificial intelligence, kind of the future of humanity. So we were planning to tie that all into a live show, going on tour with Hammerfall. So now that's on the tour's on the back burner, but it actually gives us more time to create more of this concept and just get ready for when the tours come back, to really come back with everything that we want to do. But speaking of rock opera, uh, Frontiers, the label, actually one of their projects is like this rock opera project, and it's by a guitar player from Primal Fear, Marcus. He has different singers from different bands, and I'm one of the singers, just contributing some vocals on a rock opera. So it should be interesting. It's actually really, I love the music. It's very cinematic, very orchestral. So yeah.
Oh no, that's perfect then. It sounds like
Yeah.
it's kind of what I was already thinking in my head, that would be a perfect, one of the avenues to kind of explore, and you're already doing it. So, and have you guys been working on? It sounds like new music in your downtime during the pandemic.
Yeah, actually, we've been full throttle into the new album. We already have 5 songs recorded. I did vocals for 5 songs, so now we are rebuild. The way we do it is kind of backwards. Me and Dave, we make the song, we demo it up, then we go to our producer Mike Plotnikov, and then Neil from 3 Days Grace has been co-producing. So I record the vocals, and we kind of finalize the song, and then we're gonna go back and do the drums for the 5 songs, and then just rebuild it from there. But yeah, we're really excited about this new music, and we've had a lot of inspiration lately. So yeah, I mean, so far it's been going really well, so we're excited about it.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, for the fans out there like myself, then that's one of the silver linings, that you guys can't tour, but you're working on new music for us, so it's going to be coming out, sooner than we would have thought. I believe you guys have a home recording studio that you guys do your demos and things in there. So yeah, that's perfect. One thing I just want to kind of ask about, because your vocals are really, really unique to me, and I'm just kind of curious about your approach to your vocals on any given song with Edge of Paradise, because there's so much variance. Even like when we were listening to Universe and watching Universe, you start off really high and breathy, and then you get into like a full power thing. And so, how do you kind of view your vocals when it comes to the songs?
Yeah, I guess I've always been a fan of contrast and dynamics, kind of taking people through a journey. I think it maybe comes from the classical music, just because you have those dynamics, and I think it's been instilled in my head that you have to, have like an arc in music. So I personally really love that. So I think with a voice, for me, it's always been like I hear something in my head, and then I just figure out how to recreate it. But I think the breathy thing, I don't know, it's just kind of how my voice is, like singing more on the softer side. But then I also love the powerful and kind of, getting really into it, because that's what I love about rock music, is it's all about emotion, and it's all about really, um, you know, attitude, and just kind of going for it. So I guess that's where the power comes from, is just to kind of, getting the power out, so to match his guitar playing.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And like when you're on the road, are there certain things that you're doing to keep your voice in check? Are you doing the honey and ginger thing, or vocal ease? What are you kind of using to keep your voice in shape?
Yeah, I was actually kind of nervous when we were going on the European tour, just because it's back-to-back shows and our songs are pretty difficult to sing. So I was nervous about losing my voice, but knock on wood. Um, I, f- I feel like the more you do it, the stronger your voice gets. It's like a muscle, the more you exercise, the stronger you will get. So, yeah, I mean, I did the tea and the honey, and I think everybody does it because at every venue we went to, they already had ginger and honey ready for you. So, yeah, and just kind of, be careful, try to rest. That I don't drink or smoke or anything like that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I did an interview with Charlotte Wessels from Delane. That what she hated was that she had to really cut down her interviews because talking every day to people wasn't good for her voice. And she said, "But I want to talk to everybody," and I had to actually figure out who I could do interviews with, and I couldn't spend as much time at the merch booth and things like that. And do you kind of see that same pattern? Probably because it makes sense. I mean, it totally made sense when she said that to me. Kind of see that for yourself as well?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because you get really tired because, you get to the venue, you have to do sound check. Then, especially when you're opening band, a lot of it, you don't really have a lot of help. So a lot of the stuff we do on our own. But yeah, I mean, I love talking to people at the merch booth, and I, you know, I still kind of did that and was able to hold out. But I can see if you're doing several tours a year, if you're like 120 shows a year, it would be very difficult to keep your voice up doing the shows and interviews and talking to people at the merch booth. So yeah, I can see why she makes sense.
Okay. I want to thank you, Margarita and Dave, in the background there for taking the time to talk with everybody here, and for the folks in Alice and everyone else that will be watching this later on YouTube, because I'll get it up on YouTube as well. This is Edge of Paradise, and stay safe down there, and hopefully we can see you sooner than later rocking the stages again, okay?
Definitely. Thank you guys so much for having us, and yeah, hope to see you in the future.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.